This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit temptationstreats.com to learn more.
Meta AI is the personal AI to help you with whatever you need. Plus, it meets you where you are. Not only is Meta AI now an app, but it's also on the apps you already know and love. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. Plus the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. It's easy to access wherever you are. So whether you're talking or texting, Meta AI is convenient to use throughout your day. Experience our newest AI that's tailored to you by downloading the Meta AI app. Try the Meta AI app today on the Apple App Store and Google Play.
Ah, Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant.
Whoa, that's refreshing.
And a 9.5 plus pH for every way you move.
I did take a Spain class today.
Restoring like a pro. Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
You're listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers. Episode 346, Live Action How to Train Your Dragon. They're back in POG form.
Welcome to the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers, the number one place to get your animation fix with animation addicts just like you. Each episode, we dive into the wonderful world of animation featuring Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, and everything in between. From hilarious discussions and movie reviews to interviews with industry insiders, this show's mission is to brighten your day through our love of animation. So hop on your nerdy couch, grab some snacks, and get ready to hang out with your animation besties because it's time to dive into today's episode. Hey there, Animation Addicts. I'm your host, Morgan Stradling.
And I'm Chelsea Robson.
And we are back for another live action remake discussion. This time we're going to be talking about How to Train Your Dragon. Chelsea just got back from the theater. We are doing multiple podcast sessions today. So we go back, listen to our episode on Lilo and Stitch, the 2025 live action remake. That was the episode we did right before this. And now we are talking about another one that's coming out in 2025, which will be good. So Chelsea, how was your double feature experience?
The first one, as mentioned in the 345, I was alone. But in this one, it was packed. So a 12 p.m. screening by the beach, and people were signed up. They wanted to be there.
Good. That's good for an opening weekend. So this is the opening weekend that this film comes out. So
nice.
Interesting. Yeah.
I did not even know.
Right.
I've just been really busy. You notice if you're a longtime fan, then you'll probably have noticed that we've been a little inconsistent over the last couple of weeks, and I'll take blame on a lot of that. Is because they've had a lot of things happening, and I'm just trying to catch up. And so I've even had to get off of like most social media, as in just like delete it off my phone for another time.
Yeah. I've noticed because I was sending you lots of like reels and stuff and you just wouldn't respond. And I went back and I was like, she hasn't responded to anything since March. So I was like, I'm done sending anything to Chelsea because what's the point?
But you said anything you text me, I respond.
I've been careful. I'm like, she doesn't need to see everything, but if it's a really, really good one, then I'll
and
text.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
But I've given up on Instagram.
I am normally there, but it's just been a lot of time that needed to be
setting boundaries. I understand.
I know my limits. I get sucked in, and when I jump in, I dive all in. So I need to. I'm falling. So I had to okay, we're just gonna push it off for just a couple more months, and then this year is just kind of one of those years that I'm just gonna be doing what I can when I can.
I love it. And I'm so proud of you. Yes.
But we're here. We're watching How to Train Your Dragon 2. No, the first. Which one is this? We're watching How to Train Your Dragon the second time, but in real life?
In live action form.
In live action form. Remember Alf? He's back. in Pog form.
Pogs, the like 6-month thing that it was a flash in the pan. It came and it left ever so quickly.
Yeah, was that 5th or 6th grade for us?
I was still at my other school, so it had to have been
4th,
3rd or 4th.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, no, it was 4th grade. Man, crazy.
Yeah. Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix. Online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at stitchfix.com.
Imagine this. The best pasta sauce you have ever tasted sits abandoned on a plate. Wasted sauce. That is a tragedy. If only you had used Barilla al Bronzo pasta. Its bronze-cut texture holds your sauce and scoops up every last drop. The Italians call that scarpetta. Capture sauce the Italian way. Barilla al Bronzo. Click or tap the banner to find out more.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
All right, so let's talk about this film. Let's set the stage with some basic information. The release date is June 13th, 2025 in the United States. It's directed by Dean DeBlois, who is one of the original directors of How to Train Your Dragon. Him and Chris Sanders were the original directors of that one. They brought him back for this, which I think is a very, very good choice, and we'll talk about that a bit later. The budget was $150 million. Fun fact, this is actually less than the budget for the original.
Wow.
And we don't really have much of a box office. We have 15.7 million. It's very, very early numbers as we're recording this on a Saturday. So
as of yesterday, basically.
Yeah.
Day one.
So yeah. So, I mean, this is DreamWorks Animation and distributed by Universal. Now, people are thinking, wait, why are they doing this? We don't need as we say with every single live action, we don't need a live action insert movie here. Well, I do think DreamWorks and particularly Universal does in a way, because they do have this brand new theme park called Epic Universe. And the point of Epic Universe is they have these different portals, and you walk through the big portal and you enter a new land. One of those lands is How to Train Your Dragon land. Whole thing. They have roller coasters, they have meet and greets, they have lots of attractions. It's this whole thing. So it would be worth your, time, money, energy to reinvigorate the public, reintroduce a new audience perhaps to the How to Train Your Dragon world, especially since you've invested mighty heavily on it.
Yeah. And, I'll be, jumping to my final thought in this. It was like, I actually wouldn't mind if they did the whole series this way. I liked the guy who played Hiccup, and I felt like I could watch you grow up. I was just like, I enjoyed it. I felt like if they are able to keep, semi as they did with this one, so close to the original, I actually wouldn't mind it. I still enjoyed the original better, just because I tend to enjoy the animated series or the animated versions of all of them better. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking at just an extra exciting thing to go see and just how they're, melding this world with the live action, I felt like that was, I wouldn't mind. So I'm a fan of this to an extent. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, so what's interesting about this one...
Don't screw it up!
And they really don't screw it up. So what's interesting about this one is that it very much is a shot-for-shot remake.
Yeah.
I'm talking, they probably pulled out the old dusty storyboards and laid them all out and said, why change anything? There are scenes that are, so
Jokes.
many are like because obviously the script, but like where the camera is and like you're zooming in and like it is. We are going to see the videos on TikTok and all that soon, comparing once we have more footage available once this is released. But like it is the exact movie for the most part, except in live action. And there's two different ways you can do the live action. We've talked about this before. You can do it as close to the original as possible. This is, I think, one of the closest I've ever seen of a live action remake do it. Or you can do something you can change a lot of things. You can change characters, swap things out, have new story, more loosely base it on that. Or you can do something in the middle where it's like, okay, it's mostly the same, but we have new characters, we have a new subplot, new theme, whatever. And this one, very much, it's like, no, the original's great. We're going to keep that, and we're going to go ahead and just put it in live action. But
they can't afford to have a misstep in this case, because it's so integral with helping promote this theme park.
Yeah. Well, and this one's kind of interesting because a lot of the Disney live actions are these 2D films to live action. And this one is like CGI dragons to CGI dragons. The dragons are exactly the same. There may be a few little nuances here and there, but Toothless looks the same. All of the various dragons that they battle are the same. Their colors might be slightly muted because we're a little bit more in the real world. But like they didn't even try to make them less cartoony.
Yeah.
Or like a realistic dragon. Like Toothless is very cartoony.
Yeah.
And the problem is, I feel like because of that, now we have human characters in the mix with these CGI dragons. And other movies have done this before. There's Dumbo. Like there's always some sort of CGI character interacting with live action. Like this isn't new for live action remakes, but I felt like I was watching this movie and I'm like, I like this movie. This is great. This is fine. Obviously the source materials are really, and I'm not talking about the book. I'm talking about the 2010. Like it's a great movie. This is what's not to like about this movie, but everything felt just muted. Even the emotional moments. So that the big moment, it's called Test Drive, where finally they've worked out the kinks with Toothless's fin and the writing contraption, and they're going for a test drive, test flight. I think it's test flight, test drive, something like that.
Test flight, I think.
And they, that's like one of the biggest moments, and you definitely have John Powell's score adding to that, just making it amazing and awesome. And as we were doing this time, I didn't feel that excitement or that rush that I did when I was watching like the first one. And I think it's because it's green screen. Like I know that it's a human person writing some sort of contraption on a green screen. So like that immersiveness isn't as much there for me. Whereas when it was a computer animated character with a computer animated dragon within a computer animated environment, like it was all working really well,
Well,
like,
yeah, because you're able to
like
edit
we're talking
it
about when you're petting the CGI dog. Like there's something just always a little off.
Right. I actually didn't. I don't know. The music is just too good not to feel transcendent almost. It's so good. So
I wouldn't be. It's like almost the same score too.
I know. Like they really don't have to. That's the thing. They didn't have. That's why they were able to keep the budget so down. And
I'm not complaining about this.
It's like, literally the same thing. Yeah, I'm not complaining. Like I mentioned, I wouldn't mind if they continued to do this. And and I'm not a fan of live action remakes, so it's like, okay.
I'm always complaining about live action remakes, but this one I was like, meh. Like, do I like it better than the original? No. Do I want to watch this over the original? No. But I enjoyed myself during the movie. I thought it was really great. It was a strong film, strong story, great characters. I mean, what else is there? Like, obviously, there's little nitpick things here and there, but as far as the movie goes, and it's really interesting because I don't hear a lot of buzz about this one. Whereas Lilo and Stitch, I felt like there was a much bigger marketing push. I wish they would get these numbers, but I feel like, man, Lilo and Stitch was being pushed a lot of, online ads, commercials. And I haven't really seen very few for How to Train Your Dragon. I don't hear people talking about it. And yeah, it's interesting because I feel like this is such a beloved series. Well, I wouldn't want people to see it, but I've been kind of talking to other people and they're like, it's kind of so it's just interesting.
Well, it's only, while Lilo and Stitch is over 20 years old, so you really are able to say that you're giving it to a new generation. It was also a one-off film. So there wasn't that many. I mean, there was the Stitch Has a Glitch, but that was like a that was not theatrical. So it was direct to something. And I don't even know anymore what type of medium you're going to pass this off with.
Direct to. We'll just call it direct to X.
I feel like because we had the third How to Train Your Dragon less than a decade ago, it's you are, and the first one is, so it's 2025 now. So the first one came out 15 years ago. So it's not even, I wouldn't say it's a full generation that hasn't seen it. So I think that's probably why Lilo and Stitch probably had the upper hand in that. Because it's just, we've seen it like not that long ago.
Yeah. It's 15 years compared to 20 plus. But yeah, what's also interesting I noticed during this, in a lot of the commercials or in the ads, the posters, they're really pushing IMAX. And so this was a IMAX release. And I was shocked because normally when it's one of these bigger IMAX releases as the press screening, they'll do it in the IMAX because you want to talk about that. That's an important part. Ours wasn't. And it's interesting when they do more of these family-friendly films in IMAX because it's just that much more of a hurdle for you to go and take your family to see. Because I went and priced it out. It's $17.75 minus, not including fees, because I'll never be paying those fees. But if I did, it was an extra $175. So you're basically $20 per ticket. And it didn't matter whether it's matinee or regular nighttime. You're paying for the format. You're not paying for the time. And I'm like, holy cow, this would be $100+ if I were to take my family to see this in IMAX. So maybe that's a reason why maybe they're not pushing it as hard. And when I went to look to see the screenings for today, they're not filled. It's a handful of seats here and there. So it's interesting. I feel like the IMAX format is more for the cinephiles. Some of these bigger blockbusters, you got the Oppenheimer, you got some of these bigger films that are like specifically filmed in IMAX. But yeah, so I just thought that was an interesting, like they're really pushing the IMAX for this one. Not really, but it's on all of the posters.
Yeah. I actually went, the theater that I saw it in was one of the interactive theaters where the chair will actually move. I did not pay for that though, because I didn't want to pay double the price, because it would have been the $20-something in order to see it with the interactive chair.
Oh my gosh.
But it would have been fun to see that, or to feel that like during the flight scene. So I don't know. You should have got your seat everything, like I said, it was
next to
packed,
one.
So
then during that scene, oh yeah, that's true.
So somebody decided to see it that way. So
yeah,
should have asked him, how was the flight scene?
So yeah, this is an interesting film. So they really don't change a lot. And one thing that I wrote in my review is that I really enjoyed that they kind of they tried to maintain and keep the cartooniness and like the animatedness of the characters. So all of the dragon training crew, they're really over the top, kind of silly, very animated. And I really liked that. The guy who takes over for TJ Miller,
Roughnut?
Roughnut. Yeah.
Tough Nut.
No, not Roughnut. Tough Nut I really liked him. I thought he was just
He
perfect.
was a standout for sure.
Yeah. And, it's so funny. So we got to talk about this before we talk about these characters. But one thing they do have to do in this film is they have to, which is very common in films produced 2020 beyond. So we have to have this multicultural society. Like everyone, we got to have all races in the movie because that's the way we're going to do it. And this is a Viking culture. It's predominantly white, obviously, in the original. We have a lot of blonde characters, which we don't see in this one. Yeah. And I think partial of this is the stupid Academy Awards changes that they've made to be considered eligible for nomination. You have to have X% of your cast or crew be like minorities or LGBT or whatever. And it just really hinders the art by you like not allowing to just tell the story as you would, or whatever story you want to tell it, how you want to tell it, like because you have to have these
it's just a checkbox
handcuffs on. It's just like, okay, well, you have to check this box now. I don't know if that was a reason that's why they're doing it, or if this was just a conscious choice, but it just was really funny to me because they specifically go out of their way to explain. They have a new line to explain why the society is the way that it is,
and where they're coming from, how far they've come in order to solve
came
this
from
problem.
The Orient to help us with our dragon problem.
We understand that you're not like us.
But like, okay, fine. If like, okay, you have these warriors coming from these other nations. Have you fought? It would have been cool. They should have done something with it, but they didn't. It was like, okay, we gotta we know we're gonna get criticism for this, so like, let's throw this line in here so people shut up about it. But it was like, okay, were you a dragon warrior back there and you love fighting dragons? That's why you came and you're helping us now?
But then they'd have to give them more screen time.
Exactly. They'd have to give more screen time. Like if you were this amazing dragon warrior or whatever, like person, why would you come live here? Because it seemed like, hey, you're from far away, but now we all live together and we're constantly under turmoil because of the dragon attacks. It's like, why would you have left? Why did you leave?
I mean, it just adds so many questions because does that mean that the dragons are everywhere and all of these places are being hunted by dragons, and so now they're all like being hunted to extinction or something, and now they all have to come together, and we're like, it just adds so many questions.
I know nobody thought these questions when that line came, but like me can, we look at these films, we break them apart and we talk about them. It was just like, it was so funny because
we have a podcast and we have to have stuff to talk about.
we need content. And so it was just so funny because when that line happened, you texted me about it in your theater. And I responded back, but you didn't respond because obviously you were in a movie. But like that, you said, what did you say?
The script trying to explain why they are multicultural and then laughing
face emoji.
Just like you're really going out of your way to to not get criticized for this.
Yeah. You're danged if you do, you're danged if you don't, sort of thing. It's like, you don't talk about it, people are going to talk about it if you mention it. But like when I was in the theater, because I'm hyper aware of like modern cinema and whatnot, and it was just like cringe. It was like, oh my gosh, this is so cringe that you have to put in this explanation line. But anyways, so going back to like the dragon riders, like a majority of the original were all blondes, which is very Nordic, kind of a Nordic thing. And, the redheads as well. But we have a redheaded Gerard Butler, who's Stoic the Vast, who is reprising his role, which is pretty cool.
I was so happy about that. That like in Lilo and Stitch, when they had Chris Sanders come in to voice Stitch, having Gerard Butler as the voice of Stoic and just as Stoic the Vast right there was just, it made my heart happy. I was just like, this is something that is fantastic.
Yeah, and Stoic the Vast was basically designed after Gerard Butler. Like, it is his role. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. I thought he did such a great job. There's things that there's pros and cons with animation versus live action. And I felt like he really translated his character. He felt just as big and broad as the original. Which is shocking because I feel like in Lilo and Stitch, Cobra Bubbles, they had the guy who played the original Cobra is like one of those big guys. It's just like huge, larger than life. I think he's a former wrestler, maybe. And this guy was just very diminutive comparatively.
It's
it was
true.
Like,
yeah,
that's lame. Because the whole point was like he was just so intimidating.
He was just so mass of him is just makes you feel smaller.
There are people like that. When you're in their presence, you're like, whoa.
Yes.
But with Gerard Butler, it was great. It was, I'm sure they added a little like shoulder pads, to like the part of the costume to just like keeping him up. Yeah. And it was just fantastic. It was, I liked his performance. I liked what he did. He tried to add a few little things here and there and just to kind of like differentiate it from the original because the script was basically the same. And I thought I liked what he did. Nick Frost as Gobber the Belch, who's the blacksmith. Now, did he reprise his role as well? I don't think so, but I loved him. He really encapsulated the live. This is what I love about if you're going to do a live action remake. Like when you can get these characters to look so close to their original, that's fun to me.
Right. When Gobber first came on, I was like, I buy this. This is good.
Yeah, I loved it. And he, you know, his beard and the different braidings that he had, like even his facial expressions were like, he was one of the more animated ones. So I thought he just did such a great job. And then we have the crew of, you know, fighters. And overall, they were all really good. So Fish Legs was great. Rough Nut and Tough Nut. So they kind of changed them where instead of them being kind of identical fraternal twins, we have the short and the tall. And they're redheads this time. I liked both of them. I thought the change was fine. This is the father-son relationship between Hiccup and Stoic. And then they tried to add like a secondary father-son relationship with Spite-Lout, who was Snot-Lout's dad, which was there, but not really necessary in my mind. But we got to talk about Hiccup and Astrid. I have opinions.
Okay.
Shall I go first or shall you?
I don't have very many opinions on them. I felt like I'll go first. I felt like they were, I liked Hiccup. I thought that he played the animated version well enough. And I was like, wow, you look like him. And I felt like he was able to come across as what you would remember as Hiccup. So that was nice. And with Astrid, I felt like at first she was good, but then later on I was just like good enough. So
yeah,
like I didn't have anything against her at all. It was just kind of like I wished that she was blonde. Like that was a thought because I was like,
there was no reason not to have her.
You throw such lengths in order to get everybody else to look exactly the same. The fact that you're bringing her in and she doesn't look exactly the same is just a bit distracting. It's not that I don't think, like, if I didn't have the original to look back on, I wouldn't be complaining at all. I would have thought she did great, you know? But when you're comparing everything else to be so back to back, on either side of a you know, before and after kind of thing, it's just the thing that stands out. So
yeah, okay. So Mason Thames as Hiccup, his full name is Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III. He did a really good job. He looks the part. When you look at Hiccup in the original, he is very gangly.
Yeah.
And the voice is what sells him as like a dweeb.
Right.
Which is done by Jay Baruchel. And that Hiccup voice is so iconic. And he didn't really try to emulate Hiccup's voice all the way. But he definitely, like, he has a little bit of that, like, I can't even, like, whininess to him, I guess. But not really. Like, he's more like a cooler version of Hiccup. Because
he's not going to have quite the same glow up from one movie to the next.
Yeah. No, definitely not. Yeah. And I went back and watched the original right after this. And I'll talk about my experience doing that afterwards. But I did notice that one thing I did notice, okay, take a pin in it if I forget, say Toy Story, when I'm talking about it. So I thought he did a great job. He's definitely muted. He's definitely like exaggerating in parts, but muted. And I felt like that was just some of the jokes didn't translate as well. Maybe it's because we've heard them already. They pad a lot of the scenes. Like, there's an extra 30 minutes in this film. And you're like, where did it go? Because there's very few new scenes and additions.
Right.
And I felt like just every scene was just longer for some reason. Okay, so that's fine. But then Nico Parker as Astrid, she was the only character for me that fell flat. She was very dull. And I felt like very monotonous in her delivery. Which is a shame because Astrid is a fan favorite. She's this firecracker, and she has a lot of spunk. And that's hard, especially when you're fighting and you're trying to show all this stuff, maybe harder to convey that in live action. But there were other times where some of the action scenes were very cartoony in their poses, which I loved. I really, really liked it. But she just couldn't pull some of the cartooniness, more over the top emotion out of her. So I felt like that was a dud, because then especially when we're supposed to believe this sort of romantic interest, I didn't really see what was so special about her, other than she's a girl, so why wouldn't a guy like a girl?
I mean,
and
of
then
the group, she is the best looking. So.
Then there's, I didn't believe the romance. Not that there's any romance really in this one as much. And again, I miss her being blonde. There was no reason to throw a blonde wig on her and call it good, because it also added some contrast to the scenery, because everything in this movie is just slightly muted. They try to go a little bit more realistic versus cartoony. And that was one big thing that I really realized what I was missing is the final scene. Once we're Berk, we have dragons, and their dragons are integrated into society now. Suddenly, there's so much color. I don't know if you noticed this.
I did, yeah.
Everyone's wearing really bright clothes, and the world has just opened up. And I know this is very symbolic, and it's supposed to be that way, but I was like, oh, this is what I've been missing the whole time. This is what it could have looked like the whole time. Mm-hmm. I feel like we missed out as an audience just not having that from the very beginning, because it was a bit dull and gloomy.
Well, hopefully number 2 will not be that way then.
Yeah, if they did a second one for this one, I'd be all on board. I mean, I think this the stories are there, so why not?
Right.
The characters there, they're all adults now, so it's not like you have to worry about characters aging up. I mean, more than your typical 20s. Okay, so I went and I watched the film afterwards, because I asked my kids, I'm like, have we seen How to Train Your Dragon? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, I failed you. Even though my son has read the books, or the 3 or 4 of them. The books are much different. So the original 2010 is loosely based on the books. Like Hiccup, Toothless is a very small dragon, like kind of like the dinky ones that come out, in like that's kind of what, from what I've been told, Toothless is like. And they don't ride dragons ever. Like, so it's not a thing. They just fight them. So that's fine. DreamWorks frequently does this with their adaptation. Shrek is a completely different film. So with How to Train Your Dragon. And I'm sure Cressida Cowell is very happy with her bank account as a result of this.
Would be fine.
These changes.
Great, you made some changes. I mean,
and people are still buying my books and reading them, so why not?
Right.
So, one thing that I noticed immediately when I was watching this, we went back and we watched it, is how snappy and quick the original was in direct comparison. Yeah. Like I was like, whoa, the jokes are hitting. We are moving from scene to scene to scene. I liked it a lot. I was like, wow. I don't know why they felt they had to pad it.
I don't think they were padding it. I think it was just a pacing of like, no, talk faster.
I guess you can do that in animation and get away with it, where if you were to try to do that in live action, it might just seem like bizarre.
Right.
Like, why are you talking double speed? Or why are you, making all these weird cuts? But yeah, so that's just like kind of the main thing I noticed. Also, the other thing I noticed that, man, even though this was 2010, like Hiccup very much looks like 1995 Woody. Like I'm shocked that this film looks slightly aged or slightly dated. It's only 15 years ago, but I feel like after a certain point, you're like, it all looks good. It all looks the same. Like you can't really, his eyes were just very like woody glossy. And that was like shocking to me, because I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but I guess that just shows how much animation continues to progress and grow, that I would call the animation style dated, which is like, and I'm not even saying that at all. That's just like a wee bit. It was funny. It was very interesting to look at. I should look just like some quick, takes of the second and the third one.
They were just at a point, where it was like, they're getting people good enough.
Yeah.
And so it was still at a moment where they still had ways to improve, but also not that much.
The other thing is they kind of add in this like village elder character. No,
they still had her in the original.
She was in the original, but she just like appeared kind of in one scene or at the very end or something like that. So I did appreciate them kind of fleshing her out more and like making the elders like a bigger part of it. So it's not just like, who's this person who's choosing the winner? But yeah, other than that, and another thing with Toothless is that I felt Toothless was less cartoony. Like, remember that one scene in the original where like Toothless is trying to smile?
Yeah,
a really weird thing, but it's funny. He kind of does that here, but they don't push it. And they kind of move on. So yeah, there's just some interesting things that I noticed. Had a good time while watching this overall, and thought that it was for being a shot-for-shot remake, for the most part, it did a really good job. And I think I am more in the camp of like, leave my remakes. I'm always in the camp of leave the remakes alone. Just don't make them.
Or
but if you
leave
have
the originals alone.
Yeah. If you have to, like, do this. And I think the big thing was Dean DeBlois. I think because he was one of the original directors and he is an animation director, he just knows this story in and out. He knows what to do. And he's probably had a lot of time with this film to see, like, you know, what works, what doesn't. Because there were changes. There are a lot of changes that are like blink and you miss them sort of things.
Yeah.
But you can tell that he has a passion and respects the legacy of this film, where he's just not going to trample over it because it's his.
Right, exactly.
So he's not going to totally turn Toothless into sorry, I mixed them both up. They both have just silly names.
Yeah.
He's not going to turn Hiccup into this character who he's not, you know?
Right.
He's not going to change the themes of the story and turn it into something he's not. I mean, yeah. I really loved, you know, the ending is still great where Hiccup loses his foot and then now he and Toothless are bonded in that way. They kind of have a little part of them missing and need each other. I liked it. So it's a good movie. I mean, if you were to take people to go see this, I don't see why you wouldn't have a good time.
I enjoyed myself. I felt like I said, the music in this is something that is going to be inspiring no matter where, no matter how it's imposed, or no matter how it's used. So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed watching it. There was a moment where I was like, oh, wow, the water looks great. Oh, it's live action. But that's the thing, like, even in like number 2 or number 3, those were some things that you're just like, whoa, look at the water.
Wow. Yeah, for sure.
But I enjoyed it. I was glad to be there. I was glad to see it. Gerard Butler was, like I said, made my heart swim. I was in it and I knew what was coming because I knew it was coming. And so it was from the moment where he's supposed to kill the dragon and then Stoic was like, no, end the fight now. It's like from there up until he goes to the actual island, I'm just like, this is so uncomfortable. Because you're just like, Stoic, why do you have to do these things?
Oh.
But then the moment where he comes and he has to change his stance as far as like telling Hiccup that he is proud of him as a son, and it was just like, that's good. I was glad that I don't know. I know it's all part of the original one, but I was in it. I felt I was in the moment while it was happening. So good job to everybody involved. I felt like this was definitely worth a go and seeing if you want to see it if you just want to see How to Train Your Dragon on the big screen, you're basically watching the original. So go for it.
Yeah. Oh, one thing that I just came across on the Wikipedia is that they had a sole visual effects company working on the film. I think that was an advantage because we see so many times that with the Disney is that they have some of the credits just go on forever and ever and ever because they have 20 different studios doing the effects. You know, you're basically working on this one scene and we know it's a big one. So that's all you can handle. And then like, it just feels disjointed. And I this is a plus for me. I really enjoy that one studio was doing it. They had, you know, a variety of offices where they were doing it: London, Melbourne, Montreal, and Mumbai. So I like it. I'll just read this little thing. To drive authentic performances between the cast and their dragons, and to inform the work of the visual effects team animating the dragons in post-production, puppets were used on set. So, I mean, that was kind of expected. I feel like that's always a thing that they do. They have these little things, you know, head on a stick. They're waving it around. So,
not just a tennis ball that you're trying to touch.
Yeah. So what would you rate this film?
4 stars.
Nice. 4 stars. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. So kind of the same as Lilo and Stitch. And just the reason is it's overall really good, strong film. I just want to watch the original.
Yeah.
However, ignoring the fact that the original exists, if I didn't and I watched this film, what would I rate it? Maybe a 4, but I'm going to leave it at a 3.5. One thing that didn't work so well for me was the like mother dragon. It just felt kind of corny a bit in the live action form, even though we know it's a CGI dragon. I don't know. I guess as I was watching this, I was like, this mother dragon. I was like, this is kind of the plot of Ants, not Ants, A Bug's Life. You know, where you have this thing that's you have to give all of your food to satisfy it. But I'm like, I had so many more questions. I'm like, so it's their mother dragons. The dragons are happy to do this, but then we get this idea that they're kind of afraid of it. And I don't really understand. I guess I gotta go back into the lore, but like Toothless never, they mentioned that the Night Furies never like steal any of the livestock. So I'm like, then what was Toothless doing this whole time in these raids? I don't know. The whole raid thing. Now I have lots of questions. I'm like, if you knew these raids were happening all the time, wouldn't you just maybe set a portion of your livestock to the side?
For sacrifice.
Yes. And like over in the field over there with like a big blinking sign, like eat this. Cause it seems like once they get the livestock, they're happy and they go away. Wouldn't you kind of put that together? Like, we know this is the only thing they want. They don't really want to destroy us. They just want to eat our stuff. So wouldn't you just maybe overproduce a few sheep or two?
No. They don't want to do that.
These were the things I was thinking this time around. It's like, how would I solve this so our village doesn't get destroyed every single time? Well, just give them what they want, kind of like the ants did in A Bug's Life. So anyway, really fun. My kids liked it. One thing, I don't have it with me. It's in a bag in the other room, but they handed us at the press screening a nice stationery on really heavy duty stock, and it had a dragon wax seal on the back, and I opened it up. I said, ooh, what's this? And it was just a really nice note from Dean. I mean, not personal note. It was obviously mass produced that they sent to everybody and gave them to all the press people. But he was just talking about how he really loves this movie, like wants to pay tribute to it, and was important to respect that, but also introducing some new things to really change it for a new audience. It was so funny because after reading it, I was like, I don't know, you really didn't change a ton, but he was really kind of like hitting that. Should I go get it? I could read it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 second. So here it says, greetings from Berk. We're so excited for you to be one of the first audiences to see How to Train Your Dragon. Having the chance to return to this world and the characters was nothing short of a dream come true for me. It's a story that I hold close to my heart. So I welcome the challenge of revisiting it through the live action lens and embracing all of the unique opportunities that it provided, from seeing our wonderful actors fully embody their roles to expanding the mythology and enriching the immersive action. There was a wonder to be mined. And we did our best to bring it to the screen. I've learned through the many years that How to Train Your Dragon means a great deal to many people. Our approach in this retelling was to honor those fans by crafting a worthwhile cinematic experience that aimed to bathe them in nostalgia while at the same time introducing this story and these characters to a whole new audience. This results in a movie that stays faithful to its source while delivering deeper in additive ways. Our actors have brought rich dimension and truth to their characters, while our artists and craftspeople have created a world that feels compelling and grounded. The result is a sense of overall credibility that makes Berk and its inhabitants feel real. Though I'm still very proud of the animated original, this reimagining allows us to lean into the visceral, palpable experience of live action by delivering more of what Dragon fans love. My hope is that we have retained the heart, humor, and wonder of the source while injecting more thrills and richer feels. We hope you love this new film as much as we loved creating it. Please share your thoughts using hashtag How to Train Your Dragon and at How to Train Your Dragon. So, and it says Dean DeBlois, writer, director, executive producer. There you go.
Nice.
So, yeah, and I feel based on that, like that's really what they did here.
Yeah.
That's what they ended up. The final result really feels like it's a love letter to the fans. We're not going to disrespect you. We're not going to offend you. We realize this is the reason we can even make this remake is because of how beloved it is. And we're just going to take it into a new medium. So, yeah. So now my question is, what is DreamWorks going to do next? They've opened this can of worms, potentially maybe live action remakes. They've seen what they have, Disney with 20 plus of these, what's worked and what hasn't worked. And are they going to continue to do this more, or are they just going to leave it to a few and far between?
We shall see.
I think that a lot, when I think of DreamWorks films, a lot of them are more of these like critter sort of movies.
Right.
And maybe that's just me, like not just thinking off the top of my head, but where maybe that wouldn't be something that you'd want to, like Obviously, this is not at the top of their list, but Over the Hedge, for example. Or
I mean, I was going to go with the bad guys, but okay.
Bad guys would be weird in live action because that's
Puss
not...
in Boots, also
Puss
weird.
in Boots, I think Puss in Boots you could, because there are a lot of humans in that world, but why? Maybe. I think I was talking with someone and they're like, oh, they're foaming at the mouth to do Shrek. And I was like, really?
Oh.
I guess. But when I think of Shrek, I just think of the musical version of Shrek.
Right.
And it's weird. It's obvious. It's weird. I think with Shrek, they would make him CGI. It'd be like an Avatar situation where the actor films their lines, and has the full bodysuit with the motion capturing, and then CGI him beyond that. I'm like, I could see Shrek for sure. Guess it depends on how this one does, and I guess we'll see how audiences react. It doesn't seem like there's as much enthusiasm for this as there was for Lilo and Stitch, but they're totally different. So we shall see. We will update you as things go on, and we'll see how this goes for DreamWorks. Let us know your thoughts. Rotoscopers.com/346, giving us your review of the How to Train Your Dragon live action movie. What did you like? What you didn't like? And until next time, we are the Rotoscopers. Do 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 do.
He goes so hard, and you just love. That was the thing about this movie, is you really could just. There's not a lot of things that you needed to change, and I'm glad they didn't.
John Powell, I'm just looking him up. Been doing scores since 1989. 2 Academy Awards for Wicked. Really? He did Wicked? Interesting. I want to see his list of, well, I'm sure it's just going to go on forever. Oh, he did Ants for DreamWorks. So he's El Dorado, Chicken Run. So he's like Shrek. Holy cow.
He's the DreamWorks man.
He is a DreamWorks guy in addition to everything else. Born Identity, Drumline, The Adventures of Pluto Nash. Never seen that. Cody Banks, Talent Job. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. Good for you. Amigo. Okay.
You've been listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to help spread the word, be sure to share the podcast with your friends on social media. Just don't forget to tag us at Rotoscopers on Instagram and use the hashtag Animation Addicts. For all the links and full show notes for this episode, go to rotoscopers.com/podcast. Now, if you still can't get enough for your animation fix, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and visit rotoscopers.com for more animation news, reviews, and interviews. Thanks for listening.